Hi, I'm Laurie Battaglia, the CEO of Aligned at Work. Welcome to the Wake Up Call Live, where we have authentic, action-oriented conversations about creating truly inclusive lives and workplaces where people feel they belong. In this time of significant change and debate around workplace inclusion, we're bringing you the perspectives and the practical solutions that matter. It's about real people and real impact. Each month, I sit down with change makers who are navigating these complex waters of life and work. We dive deep into what's working, what isn't, and what's next in leadership and life. I invite you to be part of this important conversation. Drop your questions and insights into the comments, and we'll address them live during the show and continue the discussion afterward. Your voice matters in shaping the future of work. I can't wait for you to meet today's guest. And oh my gosh, am I excited? Because she is not just a colleague, but now a friend. And I can tell you how to make her your friend too. So here's how we met. Back in, what was that, Angela? 2013, one community came around with the first pledge.
The Unity Pledge was launched in 2013. Yeah.
Okay. So that's when I moved from Philadelphia to Arizona in 2010. In the very beginning of the year, we bought the house late 2009. And so I was settling in, had a day job initially, and was still working in my day job at that point. But I had Aligned at Work. I actually had Living the Dream coaches. And when that Unity Pledge came out, somewhere along the way, I found one community and thought, this is cool. I want to support the LGBTQ network. I want to welcome people into my world and also to do business with me, and everybody's welcome. So why not sign it? So I think I was early on, and we were joking that I have a tendency to sign things 2 or 3 times because I can't remember, did I actually do that thing or not?
Did you really mean it?
Yeah, exactly. I really, really, really wanted to sign it. So then a couple of years ago, one of my clients was speaking at Point of Pride, which is a great summit that you have usually in September. And so someone in that audience that day said, if you want your life to get interesting, hand your card to Angela and tell her you'd like to have coffee. And I was like, yeah, let's mix it up a little. I'd like to know her better. So I did. We did have coffee, and it's been a lot of fun ever since. And now I'm a member of I've signed the Respect for Marriage thing twice.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I also joined the Arizona Leadership Network. So we'll sort of talk about all the things that are happening. So
Sure.
Do you want to give us a little bit of your background, how you got to be this activist person that founds organizations and co-founds organizations? And by the way, I'm going to ask our folks that are listening, if you would like to talk live with us. We can't see you, but we can see your comments on LinkedIn. So please go in there and comment live, and we will be responding to you. So Angela, take it away. Tell us about you.
Well, I don't know how much time you have, but I'll tell you a little bit about one community. We turned 18 this year, right? And so I was actually working in the Hispanic community, and my background's media. And I was out at work. This is like 20 years ago, which was like not the norm, because it was much more difficult to be just who you were. If you remember the LGBTQ plus community in the workplace 2 decades ago. So, but I was out, and I had a number of Hispanic community relations peers go through title changes. They all became multicultural community managers. And I asked them if they had money to invest in, at that time we would say the gay community. And they all said yes. And I said, what are you doing with the investment? And they all said nothing. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, we don't understand the diversity within the community. So that really said to me that there was a void in that the corporate community did want to start a relationship with the LGBTQ plus community. They just didn't know how. And so my wife, Sherry, and I sat down and kind of wrote the business plan for one community on our dining room table. And we launched it in October 2008, got married in California. And the website went live the first day of our honeymoon. And then the Great Recession happened. So I was like, oh my goodness, what have we done? We had emptied out our 401k. So we'd launched this little engine that could. about inclusion and fairness, and in a time that wound up being very adverse. And what that taught us was that there's always opportunity, even in adversity.
There really is. And there's been a lot of that. There's been a whole lot of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of adversity right now, right?
Yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about that along the way. What spurred the Unity Pledge, a little bit down the line, that is the way that I found you? It's probably on social media.
From a one community standpoint, we've always been storytellers, and we told in 2012, we told the story at our Spotlight on Success Local Heroes Awards, the story of Karen Bailey and Nelda Majors, because we wanted to just introduce the world to a remarkable love story. And at that time, they'd been together for like 55 years. They had gotten together when they were 18 and 19 years old, living in rural Texas. And when we were interviewing them, Karen said something that I couldn't walk away from. She said, when we first got together in the mid 50s in rural Texas, here we are, we're teenagers, and it was very dangerous being gay. She said, you could lose your life, you could lose your family, you could lose your job simply for who you were. And that really stuck with me because it was 2012, and in the state of Arizona, that's still true. So at Spotlight, I always speak at the end of the event, and I said, here we are, some 40 years after this loving couple comes together, and this is still true to this day. It is not unlawful to discriminate in the workplace against gay or transgender individuals. And people thought I was wrong. They were like, you're into demographics and you're super research based, but like, there's no way that this is true. So we realized there was an opportunity. There was a void that needed to be filled, and created the Unity Pledge, because it was a wonderful way for businesses and organizations and everyday Arizonans to say, listen, I believe in equal treatment for all people. For all human characteristics, including sexual orientation and gender identity and religious beliefs. Like, I believe that we can treat all people fairly. And if you're a business or organization signing, that the pledge says that you do value and you have equal policies in place from an employment standpoint. So that was how the Unity Pledge got started. And then in 2014, SB 1062 came, and that was the Right to Discriminate bill. And this is how I like to say we were overnight successes, 5 years in the making, and we were accidentally prepared for SB 1062 because the pledge was a year old. We've been really successful in getting some really large businesses and member-based organizations to sign the pledge in the first year. And so when SB 1062 was making its way through the legislature and then to Governor Brewer's desk, we activated those businesses. And we launched a little sign campaign called Open for Business to Everyone. And that gave Arizonans throughout the state the opportunity to let the governor know that they didn't agree with SB 1062, that they thought we should be a state that was open for business to everyone. And that's how we kind of wade into advocacy. And so I've been trying to get out of it ever since, but I've not.
And yet here we are with Respect for Marriage. So talk a little bit about that. What's going on now? And how did I've been on the Respect for Marriage site, poking around and looking at the FAQs and all those things this morning.
I mean, I think the importance of codifying Supreme Court decisions should be, people should be really aware of that, right? If you look at the rollback of Roe v. Wade, which was in place, which is a Supreme Court decision that was in place for 5 decades, right? And when Roe was overturned, Supreme Court Justice Thomas said, I really think we need to take a look at the Obergefell ruling as well. And that's the ruling that brought marriage equality to all 50 states, right? And so great work has been done. There's a piece of legislation that was signed by the former president, President Biden, called the Respect for Marriage Act. And that ensures that as long as marriage equality remains in one state, that same-sex couples who are married will keep the 1,130 rights and protections that come with marriage every time a couple says I do.
Okay.
But what it doesn't do is if Obergefell is overturned, it doesn't ensure that couples of the same sex can get married in all 50 states. And so hypothetically, if the Obergefell decision is overturned, only states that have passed marriage equality legislatively, where the governor has signed a bill into law, or through the ballot, where the voters have said this is what we want to be the law of the land, we'll have marriage equality. So if Obergefell were to fall, you would go from 50 states in the nation to 17.
Okay. Wow.
So back to Karen and Nelda, they were the lead plaintiffs that brought marriage equality through the court system in 2014. So Arizona would not be a state that recognizes same-sex marriages. It would have to recognize marriages of same-sex couples from other states, but it wouldn't allow for marriage equality. And that's deeply problematic. It's problematic to LGBTQ plus families, because we want to make sure that every family, regardless of who you are and who you love, has the same equal protections. But it's also a problem, I would say, from a workforce standpoint and from a tourism standpoint, if we are not welcoming and equal protections are just really the right thing to do. So we've launched the Respect for Marriage Arizona Pledge. We want to take the constructs from the Respect for Marriage Act, grounded in a state-based campaign based on the Arizona Constitution. And what we would like to see is an update to the state of Arizona's law to make sure that all couples, regardless of their sexual orientation, have the opportunity for marriage in the great state of Arizona.
Okay, so let me play that out. So you mentioned that you had gone out of state initially because it wasn't legal here and got married.
Yeah, we got married in California.
So then if Arizona's law went away, you'd be okay, but my friends who got married here after would not be okay.
They would still be okay. It's the people, it's the families that are coming behind those that are married, right? So people that are currently married will be fine. It is the opportunity to protect your family moving forward should Obergefell fall. Now, a lot would have to happen for it to fall. There are organizations that are trying to move legislative policy through the court system to get to a place where they can put this in front of the Supreme Court. There was one, Kim Davies, who was the city clerk in Kentucky, that didn't want to marry same-sex couples. She petitioned the court last year, and the court said, no, we don't want to hear this right now. So, things would have to happen. But I think for us, we understand the importance of codifying these decisions. I would imagine that most Americans do get the importance of codifying landmark decisions like Obergefell, because the reality is just because there's a court decision doesn't mean that's going to remain the law of the land. And we're living in times that are really concerning for LGBTQ plus folks and for many diverse communities. And in fact, when we did our survey work last year going into Point of Pride, one of the questions we had was around marriage equality. And it was close to 93% of our respondents that were concerned that marriage protections would be rolled back. So it's a real fear for folks. And we want to ensure that that's just something that never happens. And then the other thing is, love's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So having a positive, proactive campaign that talks about protecting all of Arizona's families and really making sure that loving couples stay here and know that they can be treated equally and invest and build their families here is a good message for all Arizonans.
Yeah. What's the reality of, so let's talk some of the stories that you might know. I'm not asking you to call any names out or anything like that, but what stories have you heard? What I'm thinking is, let's get people a level set. Is it as crazy as we hear it is? Is it, I think all things are true these days about so many systems, like it's crazy and it's okay. And it's somewhere in between all at the same time. So what is happening these days? Are there any stories in the state of Arizona that you are concerned about? Like you've heard these things happen to people. Tell us about that.
So, there's a number of anti-LGBTQ pieces of legislation that have been introduced. Thankfully, we have a governor that has a lot of ink in her veto pen and is an ally to the LGBTQ plus community here in Arizona. There was a really just horrific recall election that happened in Mesa last year against a council member that had been a yes vote on Mesa's LGBTQ inclusive ordinance. And, that she paid for that, I would say, with receipt. And so we're at a Y in the road, right? There are a number of groups that call Arizona home that do not believe that LGBTQ plus Arizonans should have equal protections under the law. There's national presence, in Arizona with organizations that don't believe that LGBTQ plus Americans should have equal protections. And overwhelmingly, I would say that most people believe that we should all be treated fairly. And so there's a lot of tension right now. We have a federal administration that has certainly, through executive order, done what it can to roll back protections for LGBTQ plus Americans. There was just I think, a district court case that said, banning transgender service members is unconstitutional. That just happened this week, right? So there's a lot of whipsawing going back and forth, not just for LGBTQ plus Americans or LGBTQ plus Arizonans, but in many diverse communities. And so that gives just people a great amount of unease, right? And I think people are healthiest when they feel safe and secure and they know that their families are protected. And so we really do think it's incumbent upon us to pass policy and have really positive educational campaigns while protecting all families in Arizona and getting respect for marriage, Arizona over the line. And this would be a couple-year process is the right thing to do. And it's also important for a sustainable Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting and fascinating to watch the whole evolution of it. I like that. Yeah. People are healthiest when they feel protected. I have, so my journey with friends in the LGBTQ community, I had friends who were gay that I didn't know were gay. I had friends that were out at work, or one part of the couple was out at work, but others weren't.
Yeah.
And then the universe conspired to bring transgender people into my life. There's a 2-week period. I'm not mentioning any names of them, but Chaz Bono was on stage here at a Work Human conference. Cool. I went to a different conference and sat next to somebody who's now a friend. And then a friend of mine said that her child was transitioning. And that person has become a friend. And so it's really like, okay, wake up. Sometimes those things happen. I hear a lot from them about not feeling safe. I know couples who have moved out of the United States because they did not feel safe, because they are, in other countries now that are welcoming them, and they will mention on social media, like, what a lift it is not carrying the burden of, can I walk from here to there without being endangered, and all those kinds of things. So it's been an interesting ride to be the straight person over on the side who's like, wow, there's a lot going on, and I need to pay attention, and I need to say things when I see things, and all of that. Yeah. Any comments that you have based on?
Transgender folks are just like everyone else. They want to be healthy and live productive lives. And I in the 80s there was research done. It was like only like 13% of Americans knew that they knew someone that was gay, right? And so the LGBT population is larger than the transgender population. Yeah. Depending on what generation you're looking, I mean, if you look at Gen Z, I think close to 20% identify as somewhere under that LGBTQ plus umbrella, right? Younger people just have a broader sense of how they identify themselves, which is cool and something we can all learn from. But now, 95% of Americans know that they know someone that's gay, right? Yeah. And so to know us is to love us. And I really believe the same holds true for the transgender population. It's a smaller population, about 1% of our nation's population. And my guess is a smaller portion of Americans and Arizonans know that they know someone who happens to be transgender. And the transgender folks that I know are awesome Arizonans and awesome Americans that get up and go to work every day and want to provide for themselves and their families and care deeply about the communities that they are involved in. And so I think so much of this is education, and most people don't understand that we all have gender identity, just like we all have a sexual orientation. So I really think as we educate more people about what gender identity means, that we will see progress. It's unfortunate that we're living in a time where so many people don't feel safe. And that is, it's something that we, I think, as Arizonans and Americans need to look deeply within our souls. And I really do think we're at this crossroads where we have to kind of ask ourselves, who do we want to be? And I want us to be a state that welcomes everyone. I want us to be a nation that understands that diversity is one of our greatest strengths. And that regardless of who you are or how you live your life, we don't have to agree with other people to treat them fairly and to treat them kindly.
Yes. Yeah, I firmly believe that too. And I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I know that you know of the work of 1 in 10.
Yeah, great friend.
Tell us a little bit about what Nate and his team there do for youth here that are sort of figuring things out, because that's a dangerous time of life.
I think adolescence in general is just really difficult, right? Yeah. But, Nate and his team just do remarkable work throughout the state of Arizona for LGBTQ plus youth, right? Like 14 to 24, right? Which is just a really important time in any young person's life, right? And so I think they are there to provide a safe environment, an opportunity, to learn and to create a sense of community. They have a housing program, for folks, who need housing assistance. They're really just doing remarkable work for our youth. And let me just tell you, our youth are our future. It is incumbent upon all of us to care about the trajectory of Arizona's youth, be they LGBTQ plus or non-LGBTQ plus, creating safe spaces and an opportunity for Arizona's youth to thrive is what is going to ensure that we have a sustainable future. So our youth are our future.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I know so many people make that journey through adolescence, and then you lay on the who am I to the deeper level of gender identity and sexual orientation. And I've not met anyone yet that I'm going to bring transgender back in. I've not met or heard from anyone yet that was transgender that didn't know it from the time that they were little. They might not have had words for it.
Yeah, and research says that we understand our gender identity around like the age of 8, right? And so life's a journey. And I think that it's incumbent upon medical professionals and parents to listen to their children, right? Yeah. And to create good, healthy environments for their family. And so I think that's the key here is just creating healthy pathways for people, regardless of their age or how they identify, I just think have a mental healthiness and a physical healthiness so that we all have the opportunity to just be happy and to thrive, right? And that looks different for every individual because none of it, like we're not cookie cutter. Like that's what is so amazing, right? We're all different. And we have very different lived experiences. So the journey, I think, and the responsibility is to treat people kindly and fairly. And it's okay if we don't understand people's journeys. I hope that we get to a place where, we're less likely to be accusatory and more likely to ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I know there's a fine line between asking somebody for their story. And I think it's always incumbent upon people not to put more burden on the other person by like, tell me all about the things. You've got to have that trust there before you ever ask a question of somebody about the kind of topics that we're talking about, gender identity, sexual orientation. But
yes, and I would say that people that are LGBTQ plus are coming out every day. So we're always coming out. And so that's just a part of our lived experience. And I also I don't want to put too many barriers. Listen, my job is to be the most openly gay person in Arizona. I'm very good at my job, right? So I am gay for pay, as we like to say.
I love it.
And other people are just, private citizens living their lives, right? But so, I mean, I really do think it just kind of depends on each person's comfort zone and their comfort with being uncomfortable and their comfort with sharing their story, right? And I I don't think that we all fit neatly into boxes. And so I hesitate with like, you have to be in a trusting situation. You have to be here before you can get here. You have to do this. I don't want to create too many layers that can keep us just from curiosity and getting to know one another. And just start with the things that you know you agree on, right? And then go from there and get to know people. This is really about, I think, choosing to share lived experiences, and every person's different. And so if we respect people's, I think, boundaries and their space, then I encourage folks to be curious and ask questions. That's how we get answers, right? Like that's how we have the opportunity to gain different perspective, because what we're all kind of going with is just our own lived experiences, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was interesting. I figured out somewhere along the way that the boomer in me, and I am firmly in the boomer, like right in the middle of that generation, that the boomer in me did not grow up with the internet. So I was taken aback the first time somebody was like, well, Google it. And I was like, but I could Google it, but I want to know you. So I only on social media have I ever had my head snapped off. Like, just Google it. And then I heard somebody else. I was on a summit, and I was talking about. Sometimes folks will say, "Well, I'm not here to educate everyone," and I was like, "Oh, see, I'm a feminist. I am here to educate everyone. So if you ask me, or maybe even if you don't, I'm going to tell you what I think." So, like you, I'm openly out on my feminism and equality for women and all the things.
And that's your lived experience, right? And so, which I respect, and we're just all different, right? And I think part of the difficulty and the pressure that we have right now is there's this want to kind of fit us all neatly into these little boxes. And we're human beings. We are all deeply flawed, and we're just there's just a multitude of layers and experiences and traumas that we've all had. I'm a big fan of the 4 agreements, and agreement number 2 is it's my favorite agreement, and it was the toughest for me. I won't say that I have it all figured out, but it's the one that I always go back to from like a grounding standpoint, and that is to not take things personally. To understand that we all come into whatever the conversation is with whatever's going on that day and whatever's gone on up until that moment, right? And if you don't take things personally, I think it's easier not to get your feathers ruffled if someone, kind of approaches a situation in a way that's maybe more abrasive. So I'm like, it's all good, whatever for you.
So tell us about some of the policy work you do, because I think I said to you the one time at Point of Pride, I have realized that you and Michael can go on stage at 1 o'clock directly after lunch, turn the lights down, and not put anybody
to sleep. Put you to sleep.
And we're talking policy and what's in this and what's in that, and there's slides up like this and this comparing. So tell us about some of the policy work that you've done, and with Michael or alone.
No, and you're talking about Michael Soto, the CEO of Equality Arizona, and it's a joy to collaborate with Equality Arizona. When the opportunities align, which is great. But it really goes back to the Unity Pledge. I would say that the pledge has had a really direct impact in kind of leading us into the policy work that we've done. Or where we've worked with in particular municipalities to pass LGBTQ inclusive ordinances in employment, housing, and public accommodations. So when we launched the pledge, we did it 2 weeks prior to the city of Phoenix moving forward with their inclusive non-discrimination policy. And they had worked on that for over 20 years. So I think it's always important to recognize that while we were there at the end, there were so many leaders and everyday Phoenicians that really, really wanted to pass inclusive policy in the city. And there is a 20-year path, before the Unity Pledge, and we were a part of the conversations, where then Mayor Greg Stanton and the City Council voted to pass Phoenix's ordinance in 2013, right? But since Phoenix, you've had a number of ordinances in municipalities that maybe even are a little more center right leaning. You have ordinances, inclusive ordinances, in like in Winslow and Flagstaff and Sedona, and in Scottsdale and Glendale, and Mesa was something. We worked in Mesa for over 7 years. That was so important because Mesa is definitely a more conservative municipality, and it was a absolutely large community effort. And it's been really great for Mesa, and the city of Chandler have passed an ordinance as well. So if you look at the state, based on population, we now have LGBTQ inclusive ordinances in a little over 50% of the state based on population. But if you look at the geographic zone that makes up the state of Arizona, it's less than 15%. And so what we always say is that your rights shouldn't depend on your zip code, right? And if you're an LGBTQ plus Arizonan, or if you're a traveler that is LGBTQ plus and you come to this great state because who doesn't want to visit this awesome state? It's so beautiful, and there's so much opportunity here, and we have the big games, and there's so many different conventions, and we have great weather a good portion of the year. Maybe don't come in August unless you're coming for a convention, but if you're coming we love winter, right? We have so many people that come to visit. And you want people that come here to have the same rights and protections. And so I think it's important to note that, if you're traveling throughout our state, unless you're in one of the inclusive municipalities, when you leave those municipalities, you have less protections than anyone else that's traveling when it comes to employment, when it comes to housing and public accommodations. And public accommodations is this big umbrella term, right? That I like to say is kind of basically everything with a door on it. So, it's a cake shop, and it's the flower shop, but it's a hospital, right? It's a doctor's office. And we want to make sure that when you're in this great state, every person has the opportunity to fair and equal protections. So we've done a lot of good work. It's a bit more difficult right now, which is why we're educating, so heavily. And that's just kind of what progress looks like. You will educate and educate and educate. You will build your coalitions, and then you'll have frustration, and there will be a lot of tension and push and pull back and forth, and then the openings will appear. They don't magically appear. It's because of all the people and all the organizations that are working collaboratively to do the work to get the thing over the line. And then you'll have more struggle and pushing, and so we're just in a time that there's a lot of tension in our state and in our nation. But I think it is important to not forget how far we've come. We certainly still have a ways to go, but we have come very far. And when we choose to work together as Arizonans and as Americans and say these are our core values, just fairness for all people, equal protection under the law, that no matter who you are, who you love, or how you identify, you deserve to have equal treatment. You deserve to have the opportunity to live your life and to not just survive, but to thrive. Those to me are core Arizona and American values. And if we can look at things from that perspective, I think there's so much good work ahead.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you were talking about, like the tourism and things. Tourism is a big business here. So if we can just put the business numbers lens on things for a minute, I know that my business coach is based in Florida. And there's been quite a bit of pushback over the years from a very large representation of LGBTQ people in her network who are like, I'm not coming to the live event. I'm not setting foot in Florida. And part of that was
some policies that they passed.
I'm not feeling safe there. And then sometimes it's, well, you might not know I'm gay, but
listen, this goes back to like 1062, right? So I remember when SB 1062 was, upon us in 2014, and having conversations at the time with business leaders who said, this is a social justice issue. It's not a business issue. And my response was, this is an economic development and sustainability issue. No one wants to live in a state that chooses to discriminate against people and do harm to them. And so, when discriminatory policy passes, wherever it passes, it doesn't just impact negatively the diverse community that you're attempting to harm for whatever political reason. It impacts the economic development. It impacts the workforce. It impacts, the opportunity to drive tourism. We are having conversations with partners who are telling us that, they have had job offers that have been declined because LGBTQ plus talent has concerns about whether or not their families would be safe here. That's something that should concern not just our LGBTQ plus community, that should concern people in economic development, our business associations, and it should concern our tourism folks, and that should concern elected officials. We have so much opportunity in this great state. It's imperative that we get it right. So if we want the opportunity that can continue to come to Arizona, to continue coming here, we're going to need the talent. We have to have the workforce. And again, when you look at our workforce and you look at younger generations, every generation in America's history has become more and more diverse, right? And so I like to talk about Gen Z, where about 20% identify as members of the LGBTQ plus community. You look at Gen Alpha, who are the kids that are in school right now. This is a minority majority generation in America's history. It's imperative that we treat all people, regardless of where they come from, how they identify, who they love, with fairness, right? Because when we do that, the opportunity for all Arizonans is upon us. And I love this state. I feel like I work for the tourism community. I love this. I love the opportunity that it presents. I love the fact that this is a state where you can come from somewhere else, roll up your sleeves, get connected, and really, really make a difference. I think there are so many unique opportunities in the great state of Arizona, and I want to make sure we continue to get it right. And in order to do so, we need to care about everyone. We need to collaborate. We need to find solutions that include all people. And are not looking to discount or discard folks that call this great state home.
Yes. And I'm going to invite people again, more than just Shanna, who is commenting in LinkedIn, that if you do have a question, I think there's a way that you can ask it anonymously that'll just say like LinkedIn user or something like that. So somebody wants to ask a question, but for some reason they don't want their name out there. Just letting folks know you can, I believe, comment anonymously or ask a question anonymously if you'd like to. Okay, so I'm going to transition us into talking about the Arizona Leadership Network.
So much fun.
Network, and I am a member of that. I'm one of the founding 48.
Yes, you are.
And I love my video that your team put together because they were just amazing. And tell us a little bit about how did the Arizona Leadership Network get into play?
Sure.
Why did you decide to co-found it? Go for it.
For 18 years, I'm often, if not daily, the question is always, who are we supposed to be, right? I mean, we really, from a one community team standpoint, believe that we are being led, right? We're really good listeners. And so our intent is, if we lead by doing what we believe is right, everything else will kind of fall into place. And so I think that for me, Arizona Leadership Network answers what's next and who one community is supposed to evolve into, right? It's a full circle moment when the LGBTQ plus community and all diverse communities cannot be siloed, but can just be acculturated into the larger discussion. And I think that very much is what Arizona Leadership Network is. So it is our answer to what one community or who one community is supposed to become, who we are supposed to be in our journey. One community is a remarkable vehicle. And there are times when it is minimalized because folks are like, yeah, but you're an LGBTQ based organization. What I love so much about the opportunities that ALN presents is it is seen as a mainstream vehicle, if you will, for leaders from diverse perspectives that all care about the betterment of Arizona. And so that's what we have in common, right? The thing that is leading all of us from a leadership standpoint, from a community leader standpoint, from a business leader standpoint, from someone that wants to, like, I'm in Arizona and I care about the state and I want to get in there and do actionable, cool things. that help us move things forward. That's Arizona Leadership Network. It's a remarkable vehicle, and it has so many of the really, really cool opportunities that I think we've created and done such a great job with one community, but it allows us to go broader and deeper. And so, if people have questions about ALN, thank you for putting the website up there. It's ArizonaLeaders.com. And it's so cool because it's multi-generational. It's a remarkable group of leaders. We can do good work. We can be curious and learn, where we believe leadership is a lifelong learning, right? We can learn, be curious, make new friends, create new opportunities, and really, really move dialogue and opportunities forward when we choose to do things together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing group.
It's cool.
As a founding 48 member,
I love it.
Get to the live ones, and I don't always make it to the virtual ones, but there's like a virtual thing every month. There's sometimes a coffee morning time thing. Sometimes there's an evening thing. Tell us about the leadership day that we're going to have on August 26th.
Arizona Leadership Summit. So this is, we're so excited about Arizona Leadership Summit. So, I mean, this is about the future of work, right? Which is going to be powered by AI, but it's going to be driven by humans. And we believe it's grounded in belonging and resilience, right? We are living in a time where there's so much disruption, right? For all the reasons that we've already discussed. And then you add to that the disruption that AI creates, right? And so how do we manage our way through this, understand what the workforce of today looks like and how it needs to continue to evolve, and do the evolution and ensure that while we are evolving and while we are in a disruptive time, that we can ground all of this important work in belonging and really resilience. I think so much of this time that we are living in is about, really giving our resiliency muscles a workout.
Yeah. It really is. I think that's one of the top skills that leaders need right now: resilience, and then an energy strategy to maintain it, because we just can't keep going full out and then expect our bodies to keep catching up with us.
We need to be kind with ourselves, right? And there's an interactive exercise. It's just the summit's going to be so cool. So we certainly hope folks come out and spend half the day with us. But we need to be kinder with ourselves. I think we need to listen to ourselves, right? And so many of us have responsibilities with our teams and with our families and in our communities, and it could be with our faith-based organization, just in a number of ways, or nonprofits, or folks that we volunteer. There's so many ways that we're just kind of being they're asked to show up and do so much. And I think it's really important that, we understand the importance of self-care. And it's one of the things that's very important to us from an ALN standpoint, right? Is there needs to be a balance in all of this. To your point, Laurie, if you're just pushing all of this energy out, and there's not time to really take care of ourselves, that's when burnout happens. It's when mental health issues happen. The important word to me in mental health is the word health. And so we need to understand that it's healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit, and it's okay not to have all the answers, and it's okay to say, I need a break and I need to walk away, and we'll get back to this, right? This is a marathon, without a doubt.
I remember sending you a text the one night, I'm signed up, but I'm just not going to make it. I just don't feel it. I can't. My body's like, nope. You're going to stay home tonight. So sometimes that's what you have to do. I'm getting better at listening to my body, but I'm still one of those people that works 24/7 and then stops at the point of burnout. So I talk a lot about that to other people, because
you need to listen to yourself.
I need to hear myself.
Listen to yourself. I think really we need to give ourselves permission to just be like, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I'm not going to make this one, right? You have to have time to recharge.
Yeah, you really do. And sometimes it's not even that your day was that crazy. Your body's like, I'm recognizing that I need downtime right now. But I would really encourage people to look at what the Leader Network is doing. Join us. And we're turning 1 year old, right?
Yeah, we're turning a year old, which is so super cool. And, it's an audacious, I think Arizona Leadership Network is audacious. So absolutely to delighted and just grateful to like co-found it with Bettina Nava and Sophie O'Keefe-Selman. We have worked alongside of one another. I mean, we're approaching 2 decades. We're not quite there yet, but like we are on the other side of 15 years. And I love our journey, the three of us, right? We have vastly different lived experiences. Bettina is much taller than Sophie and I are.
I love seeing you, Michael, on stage because you're both.
Because we're like the same height. We are very good on stage together from a height standpoint.
Yeah,
but it's just been we've been on a remarkable journey, and again, very different lived experiences, different worldviews, but you know what? We agree on most things, and so for us, we believe that if we care about one another, if we collaborate. If we are in this place where I think we're working together for something that is larger than all of us, there's so much opportunity ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I hope we see a lot of people at that summit.
We
more members. We didn't hit 100 yet, right? We're going for 100.
So close. Like we're approaching. So, but we're not at the end of June. So our goal is 100 by the end of June. So there's a couple of spots to be in that ALN 100, and we're doing a really cool multimedia campaign around the ALN 100 too. And you've mentioned the Founding 48 videos. That's our team at Full Swing Studios. They're remarkable. And so we're deeply grateful for all of you sharing your journey stories, right? And I think when we're vulnerable and we talk about the things that matter to us, it gives other people permission to enter the conversation.
And you know what? I just popped into my mind that when I was down there to do that video, you have a lovely facility there that is rent-outable for folks. So you want to say something about the facility and what accommodations are?
Yeah. So we love Full Swing Studios. This is our, it's a partnership with Darby Vance. He's our chief media officer. And we're storytellers. So Full Swing is really our storytelling arm. We've got a remarkable video suite, a remarkable podcast suite. So if you have a story to tell and you're looking to tell it from a podcast standpoint, we have full production. And the whole idea is that we believe that storytelling should really be affordable, regardless of the size of your business or your organization. And so we have tiered pricing. It's transparent pricing. There's no pricing that's hiding anywhere. So it's an opportunity, I think, for folks to really tell their story. And I think storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we can have, not just as individuals, but as organizations and, businesses of all shapes and sizes, right? We're very led by our hearts. We've always said that we lead with our hearts. And we want to give other folks and organizations the opportunity to share their stories so that everyday Arizonans can fall in love with what they do too.
Yeah. And I will tell folks it's right down on Central Avenue in the middle of Phoenix.
Central and Virginia. Yeah.
And there's parking.
Yes, it's a very easy facility to get into.
It's interesting when you're there the first time, you're like, where am I go? But you'll figure it out and then you'll know, as it is with all buildings that are, downtown. You just
have to get your bearings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was pretty easy to get into, find, park, and, go up and find your offices. So if folks are thinking, I would love to do something, make it look really professional.
Sure.
That's
reach out to us. Yeah. And, going back to how this conversation started, we're always open for a cup of coffee or a non-caffeinated beverage, whichever your preference may be. Right. Just know that you may walk out agreeing to do some things that you're going to agree to before you walked into the conversation.
Yeah, probably. Or you'll be invited to another one to firm it up or something. Something will happen.
But it's fun, right? Life
will be better. So I'm going to do a little humble brag here, and then we're going to ask how people get in touch with you. So the humble brag is that you mentioned in passing about the spotlight winners and things like that. So let's see. I wrote it down over here on my notes.
Spotlight on Success Local Heroes Awards. It's our 15th annual Spotlight on Success Local Heroes Awards. And Laurie is one of our local heroes this year.
Yeah. And it's a big effing deal, people. Yeah. So if you're in front of me, I would say
there's the mic drop. It's a big effing deal, people.
It really is. And I do keep one of these. Hold on here. I do keep one of these around in case I have to drop it.
Oh, but you drop an F-bomb? I love
it. So it's a big effing deal.
I just dropped them.
And people should honestly, I do too. People should honestly sign up for this thing. It's October 27th, I believe.
It's a wonderful magic carpet ride. So
massive lunch.
Remarkable journey stories of all of our local heroes this year. It's the event is themed for the first time, and our theme is, the shade of the trees we don't stand under. So we really want to remind people in a time when, again, there's so much tension, that if you just get up and you do your thing, whatever that thing is that just makes you go, right, that you will move things forward. And when we move forward together, we really, really, truly can make a difference. So we're excited and just deeply honored to be celebrating you and our other local heroes and to tell your stories.
It's quite a crowd to be a part of. Yeah. And I was just pretty dumbfounded when I got a, hey, give me a call when you have a minute, when I was off at a conference. And I just walked back up to my room to get a little breathing room. And I was like, well, this is probably as good a time as any. And I was really surprised and honored.
That's good. It's best if you're not expecting it.
Effing deal, people. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to have that coffee break or something?
My email is angela@onecommunity.com. It's all spelled out. So it's onecommunity.com. And, again, we encourage folks to reach out. We're always up for a cup of coffee or a Zoom and to get to know more about you and whatever it is you're passionate about. And we're always very happy to talk about, I think, the important work we're doing here at One Community and at Arizona Leadership Network, and to encourage people to come join us. It's a remarkable journey we're on.
Yeah, good crowd of people. People will really enjoy getting to know people in the room. And Nixie, do you want to put up Angela's LinkedIn profile as well? So there we go.
So excited.
And by the way, folks, all these links will then be in the comments, because when you see me commenting, that's the magical Nixie back in the background pretending to be me. So was there anything we didn't talk about that you had hoped that we would, Angela? We covered all.
I would just say it's Pride Month, and it's a great opportunity to think about your LGBTQ plus friends and family and neighbors. But I think every day really should be about the pride of who we are and pride in community, and just encourage folks to have that lens of just treating people fairly. Start with kindness. Be curious. And if you want to get to know more about us, hit those links or that email that Nixie's put up, and I look forward to our continued conversations.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you. I'm sure we'll have coffee again soon, and I will see you at all the events and things. And I'm really looking forward to that one at the end of August. We just had a great event on nonprofits, and it was kick-ass, and the room was full. We had another one where we used, for those of you in the organizational development world, we used a World Cafe format.
But we call it Arizona Cafe.
It was Arizona Cafe.
Our way.
We did solve all the problems of the world, did we not? In 6 or 8
rounds? There so much information came out of that, but that luncheon that we did, right? That 3-hour just ideation on Arizona in Arizona Cafe format. Helps guide what we're doing with Arizona Leadership Network, right? And so what came out of that is guiding, the topics that we're really diving into for the Arizona Leadership Summit. It's really driving. We've got a new project that we can't wait to tell our ALN members about that we hope you all are very excited about. I will just I'll put this out there. No matter what the issue was, civic engagement scored very, very high. So we see an opportunity where we think we can truly be impactful from a civic engagement standpoint at Arizona Leadership Network. So if that's your jam, come join us, because I think we're going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So Angela, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time you took. It's fun. And for everybody, if you tag us in the comments, and we'll see them and get back to you if you weren't able to watch this live, but it will be up the minute that we shut it down. So cool. Thank you so much again. My pleasure. I will see you soon, and everybody else, I'll see you on LinkedIn.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.